Why can't we have nice things in the West like tradition and nationalism and and a love for our people, not at the expense of other people, but in the order of mores, a prioritized love and devotion and allegiance to our people. um, why can't we have America first? Why can't we have these kinds of things? And of course the answer is because of the Austrian painter with a funny mustache. And yeah, so I like, why can't we think of peoples as being distinct, having differences and stemming from differences, then of course disparities, and those disparities not necessarily necessitating injustice. It could be, that's absolutely possible, but not by necessity. You can have disparity strictly because of distinctions without injustice having taken place. Why can't we have those basic thoughts and beliefs? Um, well, because of an Austrian painter who might, depending on your World War II history, might have been a little overly zealous. I personally, I don't have, I don't really have a dog in the fight. I've done some study on II history, but I'm not one of those guys who feels like Adolf Hitler has to be lionized. I think of him similar to Napoleon. I think he needs to be humanized. But humanizing someone doesn't require finding a justification for everything they've ever done. But like historically speaking, for the first 100 years or so, Napoleon was just, he's like he who must not be named, Voldemort, incarnation of Satan himself. And then as time went by, eventually people were, it's not necessarily that everyone's like, Napoleon is awesome. He's our guy and he's done no wrong. Like, you don't have to move from Napoleon being Satan to Napoleon being a Christ figure. There's a lot of room in between those two extreme positions. So you can just come to a place where you move from demonizing someone, not to lionizing, but to humanizing. Demonizing, not demonizing, not lionizing, but humanizing, and saying, okay, he did some bad things, and those are really bad, and we don't need to make excuses for them. But he also had some incredible strengths and was an incredible, general and strategic and this and that, and then God providentially, God used him to accomplish these things, and there are negative impacts, but there are also some really positive ones. And this is how we do history, like when we do history and we try to do it objectively, we have to take our emotions out of the equation and our personal biases. And so I honestly, I think it's just a matter of time. And it's funny because I think we're seeing this like happening, in real time right now. Like we're getting to, that 80-year mark, and history seems to kind of happen in 80-year cycles, whether it's the war for independence and then skip forward about 80 years, Civil War, skip forward about 80 years, World War II, skip forward about 80 years, and here we are today. Hopefully not another war, we'll see. Um, but but my point is, it usually takes, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that kind of, that conveys something that's true. Like I think it takes, thinking of generations and a 40-year period, like the 40 years of, the Israelites wandering in the wilderness to die out so that their children could inherit the land, because the parents had foregone that privilege by their unbelief and grumbling and idolatry. So thinking like that, a 40-year generation, I think there's something significant to two generations. So thinking of 80 years, it kind of takes like two generations. The negative side of that, after two generations, important things can be lost. People forget things that they shouldn't forget. But on the flip side, people also don't have a personal bias and stake in the equation like their parents or grandparents did. And so, on pros and cons, the con is more distanced and forgetting important things. The pro is less biased and perhaps able to look at the past with more objectivity. And so I'm hopeful what I mean by that is I'm hopeful not for a Third Reich Renaissance. I'm not hoping for that. Um, uh, One, because I think there really were atrocities that I don't want to see repeated. But secondly, because here's the thing, dude, like I'm an American. Like I'm not going to base my whole political philosophy over, you know, Germany. Like I'm an American. Like when I think of like, well, we need great leaders and examples. I like, okay, I'm going to look at George Washington and Andrew Jackson, and John Adams. Like I'm an American, gosh darn it. So, I'm not wanting to lionize Hitler or have some kind of Third Reich Renaissance, but I am very hopeful that we could get over Hitler, not obsess about him, but get over Hitler to where we're able to humanize him, continue to name whatever was truly wicked, but also be able to see, like, okay, like there's probably some reasons why people are looking to Weimar Germany and seeing the parallels and these kinds of things, and I get that. So anyways, to answer your question, yeah, like why can we not have nice things in the West? Because of, in large part, the post-war consensus and the never again mentality, and people attributing certain atrocities of authoritarian figures to the emphasis towards tradition, nationalism, patriarchy.